So my name is Sandhya Matthews. I am a senior trainer with the Fruitful Yield. I actually have decades of experience in the community working with health and wellness, but I've been working with uh, the Fruitful Yield for 7 years. The last two or three, I've been a product specialist, which is basically a trainer. So I go around and I train the team what these different supplements do. We have Facebook Lives, by the way. If you ever go into our Facebook page, we have a ton of information there. I am not a doctor. None of this is meant for treatment. It is just for your education. And I think by the end, if I may be so bold, you're going to be wowed. So, a lot of people experience discomfort after meals, bloating, gas, and then people say, take a probiotic and it helps, but it doesn't. Or do this or do that. We're going to talk about the intricacies of in a very systematic way. So, well, we basically said, is it going to be environmental? Is it digestive? Is it stress? We'll talk about digestive enzymes, gut lining, and probiotics. Let me tell you right now the gist of the entire thing in this next three sentences. You have to have good digestion to make the molecules small enough. You have to help your gut lining so it does not have leaks in it. Then you can apply probiotics and they can survive and do good things for you. If you don't do those first two things, you can throw probiotics at yourself all day long. Some of it will help, some of it won't. So, what's the difference between digestive enzymes and probiotics? If you come in and you tell one of our associates, "Oh, I have gas and bloating," the first thing they'll do is take it to a probiotic, and that is appropriate. That is appropriate. If your food feels heavy in your stomach, if it's coming back up, you don't have to, but how many people have an issue with food coming back up? Yeah, that's nasty. Um, oh, if food lingers in your stomach, we'll get more into that. If you have food sensitivities, that's really kind of the gut lining thing. It's not kind of, it really is. Gas and bloating is pretty much probiotics. And I'll talk about why in a minute. So we're going to start with the stomach because I said that those digestive enzymes are the most important part, right? So there's a chair up here, ma'am. Welcome. So your stomach, when you're a little kid, and if you're a healthy little kid, when you're a little kid, your stomach acid is about 2.0. How many people remember what pH is? 7 is water, 7 is neutral. Alkaline, you're always buying alkaline water, right? And then acid, certain parts of your body are supposed to be acid, but certain parts are not. Your stomach is supposed to be acid. When you're healthy, it should be a 1.5 to 3.5. At my age, even as healthy as I am, it's probably 3.5, 4. It's probably not so good anymore. I'm older. I'm 82. No, I'm kidding. I'm 67, but I've been down a few roads. Um, so low pH is really important because it literally unravels or breaks apart the proteins in our food. And we really don't eat the food. We don't really digest the food. What we do is we break those proteins apart, and then our body reassembles them into something we can use.
Are you saying that the lower the number, the better?
Yes, if you can get a 2.0 pH, that would be awesome. There's more to that, by the way. There will be more coming. Um, so you need it for digestion. You need it. That's one of your first lines of defense. When a bacteria or something gets in your system, it's got to go through your acid. Yes, ma'am.
How do you find out, or what type of test do you get to know your
For your stomach, I don't know. I don't know. Usually you go by symptoms. So the question was, how do you get tested for the stomach pH? I don't think there is a test. Some people do urine or saliva test, but that really tests something different. We will talk more about stomach pH in a minute. And it also kills other pathogens. So your stomach pH does a lot. So this is an example of a healthy pH where your stomach acid, this is the amount of stomach acid that you make. So when you're young, 11 to 20, you're making a lot of stomach acid. When you're 61, 70, it's down what? Like 3 times less? And then what do people do? And if this is you, just don't tell me it's you. But what do people do is they have big glasses of water with their food or big Cokes with their food. If your stomach is like, if the acid is like a fire and you keep throwing water on the fire, how is it going to work? In Ayurveda, which is the science of health and longevity, you're supposed to take sips of warm water with your food or no water at all. So water should be taken away from food. So what are the symptoms of low stomach acid? So abdominal pain, bloating, gas, loose stool, can't go to the bathroom, and then undigested food in your poop. And when food comes back up. So betaine HCl, oh good, I do have it, I thought I forgot. Betaine HCl is one of my friends. It's really excellent. So it is vegan and vegetarian for those of you who can't take, who won't eat any. Do we have any vegans or vegetarians here? Okay, because that makes it a lot easier. Okay, so anybody can take this. Now, why is betaine HCl so helpful? Okay, so first of all, I would say it's your second digestive enzyme, not your first. I would look at something like super enzymes or Digest Gold to take with every meal, and this maybe take after you eat and you feel like, things aren't going well there. So why? This is hydrochloric acid. Your stomach is supposed to make hydrochloric acid. Guess what hydrochloric acid is? Acid. Like it burns. It's acid. Guess what the pH of this is? 2.0. Guess why that's important? This is your first big takeaway. This is your first big takeaway of the night. You know that sphincter? That sphincter between your stomach and your esophagus? There's a sphincter. You know what I mean? That opening that the food comes back up in it? Hiatal? Yeah. Right. But yes. So I'm going to call it a sphincter. Okay. So you know what closes that sphincter? Do you know what signals that sphincter to close? 2.0 pH. So the people, and I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, I'm just showing you the reasoning here. The people who take those protein pump inhibitors, do you know what that does? It stops your system from making acid. And do you know why they want you to do that? Because stuff's coming back up and burning your esophagus. So you're taking something that brings down the pH so you won't have the food coming back up, but now you're putting food in it that can't digest because you don't have enough stomach acid. Like, just shoot me now. Just shoot me now. So this, you cannot take this if you have a sore in your stomach. Do not take this. It would be like throwing salt on a wound. But if you don't have a sore in your stomach, and you have to check with your doctor, this is fantastic because you can take it at the end of the meal. Like if you feel that, I don't know about you, but I know when that's not going to sit well. Closes it right up. It just closes it right up. So really, really great stuff.
Can you take that if you have Barrett's esophagus?
Okay, so you weren't here when I said I can't address diseases. Can you tell me the symptoms? What are the symptoms?
Well, acid reflux, burning.
Oh,
But when they did the scope, leathery esophagus.
leathery esophagus. Well, what this does is it triggers that sphincter to close. As far as the esophagus, I can't address that because I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. You just said that don't take if you have an open wound in your stomach, but that probably wouldn't affect the esophagus.
Well, you could always ask your doctor. And you know what you can do, by the way? You can buy this stuff or anything in the store, really. Take it to your pharmacist, hand it to them. Don't open it. Say, can I take this? How much? And they can tell you because they have a computer back there that has all that information. So you can look it up. Most people say if I tell my doctor, he'll say he doesn't know anything about it, but the pharmacist. So first thing, betaine HCl, great stuff. I keep some with me at all times just in case. Supports proper digestive conditions in the stomach. Hydrochloric acid produces stomach things in the stomach that help activate pepsin, which is another enzyme that also helps with gut flora and intestinal enzymes. It's a protease. That means it breaks down proteins. It declines as we get older, and it's vegetarian. Really inexpensive too. This is $17 for 120 of them. That's 3 months for $17 if you take one a day. I never take one a day. The other thing about when you have food coming up, if I could get down on my knees, I would, but he's filming me. Don't lay down after you eat. Sit up. I know, oh, after lay down. Well, boy, you're just asking for it. You're just asking for it. Don't, even if you're young, don't lay down after you eat. Sit up. Yeah. No, this is what I would recommend taking with every complex meal. And by a complex meal, I mean if you're just having an apple and you chew it, you're fine. But if you have apple and peanut butter or apple and cheese, that's a complex meal. You need 2 different kinds of digestive enzymes to get at that. I would take digestive enzyme with that. Yes?
What's your opinion on using apple cider vinegar to increase the acidity?
He's asking what my opinion is of using ACV, apple cider vinegar, for digestion and increasing acidity. It does. The 2 big things that apple cider vinegar does, and I'm only going to take this small tangent because we have a lot, is it increases lipase enzymes, lipo, fat. It increases fat enzymes, and it slows gastric release. So one of the reasons that's helpful is your food doesn't rush out into your system or down into your system and cause glycemic spikes that send you on a blood sugar craziness. So it does help with acidity, but the bigger thing is it increases lipase enzymes and it slows gastric release. That's really where the weight management and all that other balancing comes in. Any other questions? All right, so we are going to talk about your gut lining. Your gut lining from here to here is a tennis court in area. You know how big a tennis court is? That's from here to here in your system. It's all folded up. And it's 1 cell thick and it's thinner than a hair. 1 cell thick and thinner than the hair. And people wonder how they get leaks in the gut. Like, give me a break. That's really, really, no pun intended. So let's talk about it. So this is a picture on the right is the healthy part. On the left is a problem. So the microbiome is what it's called, and it is inextricably linked to your immunity. 70% of your immune system is on the top, and 80%, all of these things down here, those little squares pointing up, all those are T cells, B cells, all kinds of things, IG reactions. So what am I showing you here? This is actually a picture of leaks in the gut. You see that? Now, what's not showing up there, because I couldn't find the slide that I wanted, is that's a little inaccurate because about the thickness of that bloodstream, on top, there's a mucous membrane. And we'll show a picture in a few minutes of the really healthy one. But that mucous membrane in relation to that picture is about that big, and it has a thin layer here and then a thicker layer. This thin layer, this little thin layer, does like 70% of your immunity. Like it's where all the macrophages are and the lymphocytes, and they're like, no, kill it, bring it in, sort of, and that's where it all does. And then once that all gets sorted out, that bigger, it all sinks down really nice, and then it goes in those little villi, those little fingers, and it soaks down through that cell and delivers into the bloodstream. Beautiful. Now, before I continue, I want to give you some hope, because I'm not just trying to tell you what's wrong. A healthy gut lining completely replaces itself. You grow a new one every 3 days. That's very hopeful. An unhealthy lining replaces itself every 7 to 10 days. The trick with that is you got to stop throwing rocks through the window. If every time somebody came to work, they're throwing a rock through the store window, we would have a hard time keeping the business open, right? So what happens in this case, did you know that you're not supposed to take broccoli, put it in a hypodermic, and shoot it in your bloodstream? Did you know you're not supposed to do that? Where are you supposed to put food? In your pie hole, right? It's supposed to go here. Well, what happens here is when remember I talked about that mucous membrane, when you have leaks in the gut, that mucous membrane is gone too. And so the food, the bacteria, the pathogens, everything, it's like a leak. That's why they call it leaks in the gut. It goes straight into your bloodstream. The broccoli, the nachos, your body goes, oh my God, parsley, kill it. And sometimes when you eat, you get loose stool. One of the reasons for that is your body is trying desperately to fight off the food you just ate, because it doesn't belong in the bloodstream, and it finally says, oh God, just flush it. And then you lose all that nutrition, but at least the body can stop all the bloating and the inflammation. Does this make sense? Right, yes.
So in a sense, would you say within 7 days, if you do like a detox, eat healthy, or etc., like that lining itself would just correct?
It replaces itself every 7 to 10 days. I don't know about detoxing necessarily.
Well, like a little bit.
We'll talk about it though. We're going to talk. We're not done. I'm going to give you resources. But what the question was if a person detoxes and everything, will the gut replace itself in 7 to 10 days? An unhealthy one does. But if you don't take care of it, it's just going to keep ripping. So, but there is hope. So, okay, ready? Oh, she's going to pass out $10 off 50 coupons. They're good and through this Sunday. You can use it for anything in the store. Okay, so we just talked about that. Having leaks in the gut is like having holes in your window. You want to start to fix those. So why do we talk about digestive enzymes with that? With those holes in the gut? It's kind of a two thing. So, all right. Remember I said the rocks in the window? You get that analogy, right? The leaks in the gut. All right. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes, that glyphosate and gluten are two of the worst things that trigger a zonulin reaction. I will go over this again. But the other thing that can cause intestine, when I say intestinal, I mean gut. The other thing that can cause leaks in the gut is the food is just too big. It's like, we're not dogs. We're not supposed to go chomp, chomp, swallow. I know dogs do that. They must have great digestive systems. How many of us, our mothers told us to chew our food, right? Was it like 30 times or something?
20 on each side.
Was it 20 on each side? Oh man, your mom wanted you to have good dental care. That's awesome. But we just need to chew our food, and I'll get in more into why in a minute. But what do digestive enzymes do? Digestive enzymes, these two, this is my favorite, is like scissors. They literally cut the food up into smaller pieces so that when it hits your gut lining, it's not a rock, it's slush. I just made up that word. Probiotics are healthy bacteria and a community with many skills and talents. Different probiotics actually do different things for you. And they do provide a lot of benefits. Now, if you have that issue of leaks in the gut and you don't have that mucous membrane lining, it's like trying to put makeup on an open flesh wound. It just can't live. So you can throw all kinds of money at probiotics. Some of them will live, but a lot of them, it's just, that's like throwing grass seed out on that rock out there. Some of it will live, but it's not an ideal environment. So we're going to start with digestive enzymes. So if the food feels healthy in your stomach, we already talked about complex meals. If you have a heavy or a big meal, the betaine HCl, take your digestive enzymes with the meal. It's got to touch the food before, during, after. I carry them with me, not the whole bottle, a little bit. And if I forget before my meal, I'll take it afterwards. But they help a lot. I had some customers come in, because I work with customers a lot, and they, I heard, did you take digestive enzymes? No, we'll try this first. So they come back in 2 weeks saying, I feel great. That's all I needed. I mean, we could have sold them this and this and this and this. Try a digestive enzyme, especially if you have a weak or gone gallbladder. Oh, dear. Yes, please. Super enzymes. The biggest reason I like this is, see up there it says ox bile. When you don't have a gallbladder, this is one of our best supplements if you don't have a gallbladder. If you don't have a gallbladder, you really can't digest fat anymore. And we have LipoGold, we have ketozymes, we have a bunch of things. Keto, eat a high-fat diet. But I have two close friends who don't have a gallbladder, and when I go out to breakfast with them and they're having upset, I hand them like, oh my God, that really works. And one of her associates didn't have a gallbladder, and she tried several of those, and I gave her one of mine. She's like, God, that really, really works. So a lot of people who don't have a gallbladder find this very, very helpful. And if you do, it's still very helpful because it breaks down fat.
So you're saying that if you take that the very first time that you take it, you can already notice it?
Yeah. The question was, the very first time you take it, you know the difference. I said yes, but I'm supposed to say it's different for all people and most likely, because that's the DSHEA compliant answer.
So does it help break down the food, have the nutrition go where it's supposed to go, rather than having a loose?
We have to break it down in steps. First, okay, thank you. That's a perfect, all right. So what the question was, does it send the food where it needs to go? Yes and no. So did you know that when you eat, you take a mouthful and you chew, and do you ever notice that you kind of sort of know how much, and then you swallow? Well, that amount you swallow is called a bolus, B-O-L-U-S. That's what it's called. When you swallow that bolus, it hits your stomach, actually over here, and then your stomach recognizes what it is. And it goes, look at that. Okay, bananas, send up stuff. So your body starts to send up digestive enzymes as the bolus starts going down, and somewhere in the middle it mixes, breaks it all down, and by the time it hits the upper intestine, the place where it goes, it should be chyme, C-H-I-M-E, which is just basically liquid. Once it's liquid, if it hits that upper intestine and you don't have leaks, the body sorts it out, it falls through those villi, and it's Shangri-La. If you're throwing rocks at it, it's going to have a tougher time, because then it's got a lot of other things to do. So the answer is yes. And it's got to be small enough. It has to be chyme. It has to be liquid. Does that make sense? This also has betaine HCl, so that's one of the reasons this is such a good one. This is 648 milligrams. That's 100, 200. Amylase. Let's talk about amylase for a second. I will give you a special high five if you know what amylase digests. Carbohydrates. Guess where we make amylase? We only make amylase in two places: potato chips, bread, that kind of thing. The thing that digests those, we only make in two places: in our mouth and in our upper intestines. We don't make any in our stomach. So when you chomp, swallow, it pretty much can go whole into your upper intestines. So have you ever noticed that some people chew gum? They don't realize that what they're doing is they're making amylase. It can help digest. I do want to go back and talk a little bit more about this whole thing with complex meals. Those of you who have issues with food coming back up, what you may want to experiment with is don't eat carbohydrates with protein. If you want to write this down, I would write this down. I would ask you to play with eat protein and vegetables together in a meal, or vegetables and carbohydrates together in a meal, but not protein and carbohydrates. Because what can happen is you're eating and then you have that piece of meat. That piece of meat goes in your stomach and says, oh, protein. Stop, everybody. We got to handle this protein. So your whole digestive system, your stomach says, whoa, 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 whoa. Go for the protein. So sometimes that's why people get food coming back up, because now that you don't make amylase in your stomach, now that carbohydrate is sitting there fermenting. And, burping and stuff like that, you're just feeling the effects of the ferment. You get it? So if you're not having a problem, go eat how you eat, or you could even eat how you eat with this because it has amylase in it. But if you're not taking a digestive enzyme and you're having problems with food coming back up, just experiment with it. This meal, I'm going to have my protein. By the way, if you want to feel more satiety at night, in the evening, eat your protein and vegetables at night, because that's not going to send you off in all kinds of glycemic craziness. Any questions? Is this making sense? Digest Gold. Digest Gold is an amazing product. Yeah. Okay, in your stomach, it's acid. It should be. It's acid. As soon as your stomach, food in your stomach hits your upper intestines are alkaline. Point blank, they go alkaline. So do you see where it says TheraBlend? Do you see where it says TheraBlend? Okay, so from the time you put the food here until the time it comes out here, your pH changes as it moves through your system, little fluctuations. The TheraBlend is at least 2, sometimes up to 4, different kinds of that digestive enzyme, so it follows your food through and they activate at different pHs. So TheraBlend basically means there's at least 2 different kinds of amylase in there that will trigger one in an acid and one in an alkaline environment. So this is the top of the line that we carry. It's really, really good. I do use this one. The thing is, this one's $48 for 90. This one's $19 for 90, so it's half the price. And I've tried both, and maybe because I take care of myself, I really prefer this one.
So you don't recommend taking both? I thought originally you were saying take both of those with a meal. You're saying one or the other, the Digest Gold or the super enzymes.
Right. Yes. I'm supposed to offer you options. So, and then if you did overeat or it's not setting well, you know, you have cheesecake and pickles. Oof. Don't do that.
Maybe when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
We already talked about that, so I'm not going to go back over it, right? And, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, and we also have, just in case you're a vegan, we have a digestible, chewable in case you can't swallow pills. Is it as good as those? But it's an option if you're a vegan and you don't want to swallow a pill, you want to chew. So we just have an option. All right. Do you have any questions? Because now we're going to go into specialty situations. All right. So there is something called diamine oxidase. It's a different kind of digestive enzyme. You do make it. If a person has had COVID, one of the post-COVID symptoms can be that you don't make enough diamine oxidase anymore. If you Google it, if you Google diamine oxidase and post-COVID symptoms, you will see studies on it. So people know do you know what a histamine response is? Like a seasonal response to pollen and stuff like that. Are we on the same page? Does everybody know what a histamine response is? Okay, there's environmental histamine responses and there's food-induced histamine responses. We're going to talk about food-induced histamine responses here. Okay, so what that is you eat something and it can cause a flushing, a heat, a rash, watery eyes, runny nose, bloating, itchy skin from the food. How many of you have heard of people who can't drink red wine? Can't drink red wine. They get headaches from red wine. Yeah, I know a lot of people. Maybe I know the wrong people.
They assume the headache is not from the wine. So you can have a headache and don't think because you drank it.
Oh, maybe some people think that it doesn't necessarily come from that, but there are people who do. Anyway. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So some of the things that can cause some of the histamine-inducing foods, read it and weep, people. It is chocolate. No, cheeses, especially aged cheeses, sauerkraut, tuna, aged, uncured, processed, fermented meat products, pepperoni. You know what that is? It's a charcuterie board. Yeah. Kill me now. I love charcuterie boards. Tomatoes and ketchup, vinegar, alcohol, shellfish, avocado, tuna, bananas. Those were my health foods. Yeah, crazy. Bananas, eggplant. Those are.
That's what they're telling me I shouldn't eat. All those things.
Well, then don't eat those things.
I'm not. But I grew up. I'm half Italian. Eggplant and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And half Czech.
So you
sauerkraut.
You need something to come out.
Histamine digest. Histamine digest is diamine oxidase. That's what this is. Now, this does have to be taken 20 minutes before you eat. I think it says so on the 15 minutes before you eat. It has to be in your stomach. Like these, you could open the capsule and sprinkle on your food. This you cannot, and neither the FODMAP one either, the fructose digest either. These have to hit your stomach. It will add those digestive enzymes into your stomach, and then it can help with the histamine. It's called a histamine neutralizing enzyme. So if you used to be able to eat a certain food and now you can't tolerate it, it may be a post-COVID symptom. It supports your body's defenses against dietary histamines. It's over 20,000 IUs per serving. And it's based, that second to last one is just basically saying it's put in a capsule that's not supposed to open until you get it in your stomach. So that's all that means. All right. Drink HD. Why am I bringing that up? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. This has a little bit of catalase and vitamin C, but basically it's the drink HD does not have those two, but it's diamine oxidase, and it's a real. I have one. I have one in the car. I have one in the home. I have one in my purse. Because if I'm going to go out, meet my friend after work, and go out for dinner, maybe have a glass of wine. I'm not a lush. I'm not going to get hammered. But if I have a glass of wine, I take one of these. I'll tell you about that in a minute. It combats histamine allergy reactions from food, wine, seltzer, malt drinks, craft beers, IPAs, and liquor. I don't know why, but they say IPAs are the worst. Supports relief of wine headaches, flushed red face, rosy cheeks, eyes, and digestive distress. Histamine blocker aids the digestive health and DAO deficiency to combat morning after drinking effects. So basically saying it's a hangover remedy. Honestly, I've never been hammered enough to try it. Usually I'm a one glass girl. Nah, you can do it and let me know. Natural and effective digestive, designed to improve histamine intolerance and imbalance. So it's it's not well. I don't think gas and bloating is one of the symptoms. But what it does is it can truncate the histamine response or mediate the mast cell production. So, and the thing is, immediately, like immediately. If you usually eat something, don't eat it if it's not good for you. But if you usually eat something and you have that reaction. So the first time I tried this, my whole life whenever I drank alcohol, I always felt dirty. I always felt like I was kind of catching a cold or something like, and it's not a moral thing, it's just like I kind of felt like, okay, well, this is just paying the piper, right? This is what I'm doing, so I'm going to have to deal with this. Well, I had one of these before I had a glass of wine, and I felt like I just had a glass of carrot juice. It was like clear and open and free. I'm like, no way. So it can be really, really helpful. There's a story of the rep for this company. He was at some big conference, and after the conference, a lot of them go, socialize at the bar. And he handed all this to all the people. And the next day when he went back to the bar, he's like, where's that guy? Where's that guy? Everybody wanted him to give him a freebie again. It's only $11. You can carry it around. So it's great stuff. This is $11. This one's $47. It's excellent. It's very, very good. But if you don't have a big problem, you just do a charcuterie board occasionally, it's a no-brainer. Any questions? This is basically everything I just said. Consume 1 or 2 prior to consuming any alcoholic beverage. You just need 1. Any questions from that before I go to the fructose digest? Okay, so the thing with the FODMAP diet, the big thing about that is converting fructose to glucose. That's the whole spiel. Okay, so what's supposed to happen is throughout our history since caveman, the lower intestines are supposed to thrive on glucose. The upper intestine is supposed to convert the fructose to glucose. People on the FODMAP diet often have a difficult time converting the fructose to glucose because they don't have enough of something called xyloisomerase. It's an enzyme that converts, together, fructose to glucose. So if they don't have enough xyloisomerase, they can't. So then what happens is that fructose drops into the lower intestine and the bacteria go, food? Okay, we'll eat it. And then they eat it and they can't really digest it well, so they leave waste and they actually fart from the food. The bacteria get gas from the food. And did you know, and it can cause a lot of pain. Like really, it really, really hurts. If you've got this issue, it really, really hurts. Did you know that you do not have, unless you have a sore in your stomach, you do not have any pain receptors. Do you know that? None. Zero, unless you have a sore in your stomach. As soon as that hits your upper intestines, oh yeah, you do. And then the lower intestines too. So what this does, is it delivers more xyloisomerase, a very specific type of digestive enzyme. It has to be taken 20 minutes before you eat. If you don't, it won't work. Just don't waste your money. If you've already had a bite of food, don't bother. It's not going to do anything. Have a digestive enzyme. Yes?
My question is, would that be something good for someone that is pre-diabetic?
She asked if it's good for somebody who has a problem with blood sugar. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's more if you have a lot of pain after eating fruit, this would be more appropriate.
But after carbohydrates.
It could. It could. After carbohydrates, it could. Remember, if we step back a few steps, one of the first things is get a digestive enzyme, because that could, if every time, do you have grandkids? Your friends, if every time they came to pick you up, they drove through your front window instead of calling you on the phone, you get pretty tired of them, right? Well, that's what we do to our body all the time, but we don't even understand we're doing it. And I will show you how we're doing it and not knowing that we're doing it, because I'm not done yet. It's fun, isn't it? All right, so let's see. I think I covered all of it.
Now, it says best taken 20 minutes before. What about if you did 30 minutes before? Would it still be effective?
I don't know. If it's 30 minutes before, I don't know. The bottle says 20 minutes. I've been through a few trainings, and I've given a few, but I've been through a few of their trainings, and they say 20 minutes. So it's got to be, if you take it 30 minutes, it's got to be better than not taking it at all. Right. But, they've done their lab work. Any questions? Oh, if you are on the FODMAP diet, this does not mean you can eat everything. Still stay on the diet, because even when you're on that diet, if you've been on that diet, it's still rough. So, this could help. This one's 23, so it's a lot less than this one. So these two are two of the better price points. This is just to show you what we're dealing with, because we're about to move into another phase of our learning here. So remember that picture. This is literally your bloodstream. That's your blood flowing. You want to guess what that is? That is an unhealthy colon. That is a healthy colon. First time I saw this, I had nightmares for 2 days. Like, that's what you're throwing a probiotic on? Seriously? You think it's going to live on that? That's raw flesh. See how mucousy and goopy that looks? That's what it's supposed to look like. That has that mucous membrane that I was telling you about. That's a very healthy gut lining. So we have, this is a little bit complicated. I'll try to simplify it. All right. When you have a healthy gut lining and you put probiotics in it, the probiotics are like planting trees. A blueberry bush will give you blueberries, a pear tree will give you pears, right? So different probiotics give you K2, melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, B vitamins, all kinds of things it actually makes for you, hormones, all kinds of things that healthy probiotic give you, right? But if you have that kind of an inflamed situation, you might want what the probiotics are going to give you straight up, which is Dr. O'Hara's probiotics. Dr. O'Hara's probiotics, you've heard that probiotics are in the billions, right? 5 billion, 20 billion, 100 billion, right? This is only 300 million. Very low strength probiotic. It's 500 postbiotics. The postbiotics are those benefits that the bacteria would give you. So this is like salve to that. This is like, instead of casting grass seed, you're laying down sod. This is ready to go. This has been stirred in a vat for 3 years, constantly stirred in a very sanitary thing. And you're going to laugh. They play classical music the entire time. Yeah. It was actually made by developed by a monk. He died, I think, 2 years ago, but it was made by a monk. This stuff is incredible stuff. Whenever anybody in my family has a problem, they go on this right away. It does say 2 twice a day. Great stuff. So if you think you have that kind of situation, remember I said if it's that way, these other ones are going to be of limited use because they don't have good soil to grow, right? This is like already grown, and it still has some probiotics. Does that make sense? Yes, no?
What is the name of that one?
It's on your list. Dr. O'Hara's probiotics. Dr. O'Hara's. Matt, do you have one for her? Yes, ma'am. The sheet. Yes, ma'am.
So would that be good for someone that has ulcers?
If somebody has a sore in their stomach, it definitely would not hurt. It's for the gut lining. It's for the intestines. It's not for the stomach. If somebody has a sore in their stomach, they should really see a doctor. We have things like DGL and stomach formula that can be very good, very soothing. It's got aloe, peppermint, chamomile, ginger, slippery elm, fennel, all kinds of soothing things.
So it was the other one you were very specific that not to take it if you have ulcers. But this one is
Betaine, because they're different. This is a digestive enzyme. This is a probiotic.
right. That's why I was asking.
So they're different. This is scissors. This is sod. This supports that lining to help it get back to better health. So, yes.
Going to a doctor, how would you, what kind of symptoms?
I think we already went over that, but food intolerances, gas and bloating. You could have mental. You can have a problem with your memory because you've heard of the gut-brain connection. If you're not making the dopamine, the norepinephrine, the serotonin in your stomach or in your gut, you might feel low mood or erratic mood, or there's if you, especially if you have gas and bloating, But many people get food intolerances. Speaking of food intolerances, gluten and glyphosate are 2 of the biggest culprits. This zonulin thing, this triggering zonulin thing, if you would understand it, and I could only tell you one thing, this would be the most important thing I would tell you about in the entire talk. that zonulin reaction, truncating that zonulin reaction, making it so that zonulin reaction does not occur as often as possible, is what the whole thing's about. So let's talk a little bit about this. Okay, I'll just talk about it. I put it there. So, you know, I told you it's one cell thick, thinner than a hair, right? Your gut lining. So this is now my gut lining, okay? And I know it's not shaped right, but these are the tight junctions and these are the cells, okay? Got it? Okay. So what happens is gluten and glyphosate, those two chemicals are one of the worst things to trigger a zonulin reaction. So what happens is they come in and they touch that tight junction. When they touch that tight junction, it triggers like a firecracker. It triggers a zonulin reaction. It literally breaks open that gut lining. It breaks it open. It causes the hole. Gluten and glyphosate. So if you get conventional bread, you got a double because it has gluten and glyphosate. At least if you're going to do bread, you might want to think about doing organic because at least it's just gluten. There's so much gluten in our food and conventional food, so much glyphosate. Roundup, it's a part of Roundup. There's so much glyphosate in our food these days that it's in mother's breast milk. Yeah, it's in, well, I don't know if it still is, but it was in Cheerios. So, and it's not good for you. They started spraying in 1982. They started spraying our crops with glyphosate in 1982. In 1984 is when chronic diseases started in America. So it's not good for you. Some of the signs of gluten intolerance are hair loss, irritability, skin issues, headaches, weight issues, weight fluctuations, brain fog, tiredness, problems with your gut, feeling irritated, autoimmune situations, digestive issues, joint and bone pain, lack of vitamins, abdominal pain, either anxiousness or low mood. So this is a normal gut lining, right? It's healthy. You see how all of those are together. There's no holes. Here is after glyphosate has been introduced. That black stuff, that's your blood. Back there, that part that's in between all of those cells. And when those cells get like that, do you know that the cells talk to each other? Like they literally talk to each other. So like if a cell somewhere over back here in my body says, oh, I'm starting to get old, would somebody make a new one here so you can replace me? I'm going to die soon. And your body does that. It repairs itself. But when this little cell gets put off by itself, it can't talk to anybody. It can't communicate anymore. It can't communicate anymore. And it could go rogue. It could go rogue. That's sort of like if you raise a kid to be a really good kid, and then all of a sudden he starts hanging out with people who steals cars. It's just like he means well, but he hasn't got any connection with anything healthy anymore, and he's surrounded in glyphosate. It's poison. It's not good. It's not a good situation. This is all metaphor. You understand I'm dramatizing a little bit to make the point, but the point is there. So tight junctions impact your front line of your immune system. Remember I showed you that graph, the picture. Inflammatory responses. Oh no, zucchini, kill it. Nutrient delivery. If it's always rejecting the food you're eating or having a tough time with the food you're eating, you're not going to get the nutrition. Mental well-being, the neurotransmitter production, hydration. It increases the membrane integrity. It means water gets in the cells more efficiently. A detoxification pathway, cellular metabolism and hormone production, and your gut makes melatonin. By the way, as we get older, we naturally start to decrease our melatonin production. So no more iPads or phones after 10 o'clock. Turn off the TV.
was just gonna say yes.
I know. I have to like, it's like an addiction. No, don't. This is just to remind you of what we just talked about the tight junctions. It's really nothing else but just a reminder. Because the next thing, remember I was telling you about that, the body, your gut lining repairs itself? Here we go, the magic. Eye on Gut Health. This is Eye on Gut Health. Oh, shoot. I have it. I have my bottle in the car, in my purse. So what the bottle says is to take 3 teaspoons 3 times a day before meals. And what it does is it ionizes your gut lining. Why is that a big deal? Because when the gut, this is the big thing, when you ionize that gut lining, when gluten or glyphosate come and touch it, it truncates the zonulin reaction. It doesn't happen. It doesn't break it open. Why? Because the ionization cancels it. It doesn't allow that zonulin reaction. It truncates the zonulin reaction. It doesn't happen. I'll show you. Or it may not happen. So here's the scientific stuff. So on the top is a normal gut lining, and the next one is the gut lining with Eye on Gut Health. It's a little better. It's good. It's not that dramatic. It is good. I see that. This is the gut lining compromised with glyphosate. Look at that. That is the gut lining compromised with glyphosate in the presence of glyphosate and in the presence of Eye on Gut Health. It not only did not allow the glyphosate reaction to happen, or the zonulin reaction, but look at how it reinforces it. Look at how much thicker that is, like it went on overdrive. This stuff is great. This stuff is great. A lot of people, if you do the research on this, if you Google that, you'll see things, claims that are just crazy about this. Some people who have kids on the spectrum find this very, very helpful in these mothers groups because they have a problem with their gut lining, gut-brain connection. This can be very helpful. Google it, see what you find. Because when those tight junctions open, there's all kinds of disruption. You saw what that gut lining looked like. So what this is it's ionized dinosaur dirt. It's ionized fulvic acid. We sell fulvic acid, but it's different. This is ionized. The ionization, that's what delivers that charge to that gut lining and allows it to have some protection. That's the most important part of this entire talk. This can really support you when it comes to gluten and glyphosate. Because that's like saying, nope, can't throw a rock through this window, go somewhere else, or put it down. Just to show you again, so what the issue is to help with the tight junction integrity. Once you have a strong tight junction or strong gut lining, then you have a stable environment. Now you can add the probiotics. Just to remind you of what we're working with here. Any questions? So remember that mucousy part there? There's a couple ways that you can help. Now, this is kind of like getting into the nuances. The biggest thing is a digestive enzyme, the Eye on Gut Health, and then a probiotic. That's the biggest thing, okay? All right, that mucous membrane lining, that if you have an issue, it could be helpful to help your body reestablish that. The quickest way is Gut Fortify. I've actually used it. It is very good. It's like $45 a bottle. I think you take 4 a day, 3 a day. It gives you the amino acids. The amino acids are like the Legos that our bodies are made of. It gives you the exact Legos or amino acids that you need to reestablish that gut lining. I'm sorry, the mucous membrane. Or, so this is the quickest way. It is $42, or you can do aloe. Aloe, it's a lot slower, but you can do aloe instead. Aloe can be very soothing. The only thing is with aloe, whatever you take it with will amplify the absorption in your body. So do not take this with your medications, because if you're supposed to be on a certain level of this or that, this could alter that a little bit. So take it 2 to 3 hours away from any medications that you take. Did you have a question? No, okay. But it's a really, like, this is $5, and there's a lot of servings in here. I don't know how many servings, but there's a lot of servings in here. And then if you do have a really upset stomach, we have the stomach formula. That will help with the gut lining too, either one. So, any questions? Yes?
The gut fortify is like if you wanted to take that, how long do you take that? Is that once you get on there, you're on it forever? Or?
No, that's to reestablish the gut lining. When you stop throwing those rocks through the window, you're like, okay, I gotta help this out a little bit. 1, 2, 3 months. 1, 2, 3 months. If you're, you know, if you're helping yourself out, you know. So now that we've helped your body digest food, we've helped to keep out the bad bacteria, so you're not as sick as usual. You're creating your B vitamins, your MK7, your neurotransmitters, your melatonin, your serotonin. Now that you're supporting your lining so that it's preventing bacteria and other things from getting through into your bloodstream, now we have the garden we can plant probiotics. Except, how do we keep breaking that open? Remember I said gluten and glyphosate? There's something called the dirty dozen. And some of you asked about what foods to eat and how do I help my diet. So I've been at this for 40 years. I understand. You can't buy all organic. I get it. But there's certain things that I will not eat not organic. And that's any leafy green vegetable, get it organic. Because spinach is one of the worst. When you spray those vegetables as they're growing, it's in the vegetables. You can't wash it off. When you eat regular spinach, you're eating pesticides, right? So the leafy greens, please get those. Spend the extra money. Get the leafy greens. The other one is berries. Berries, strawberries are the other worst. Cherries have a pesticide that stays with you for a really long time. It kind of settles in and stays. So I would not. So berries, grapes, cherries, blueberries, strawberries, get those organic. Yeah, they're a little more expensive, but yeah. Now I have to admit, like the peelable fruits, I will eat those sometimes. But when I do, and I know I'm doing it, I make sure I take this because it truncates the reaction that the pesticide could do, or it can truncate the reaction that the pesticide would do. So greens and berries, please. And my family personally, we do our best to get organic meats. We do, maybe grass-fed, that would be ideal, but some of that is like $15 to $25 a pound. So it is really good, but my pocketbook can't afford that. I do my best to get organic or wild caught. By the way, salmon, when you go to the store and it says wild Alaskan salmon, that is farm raised. That is not wild. Wild caught is wild. It says wild caught, wild Alaskan salmon, that's wild caught. You know why there's a big difference? For instance, you know omega-3s, EPA, DHA are one of the reasons we eat salmon. right? In farm raised, one piece of farm raised salmon, farm raised, has about 32 milligrams of EPA DHA, 32 milligrams of omega 3s. Wild caught, 320. Huge difference. And the wild caught doesn't have all the medicines they had to put in the water to keep the fish healthy so they could finally get harvested and feed you. By the way, I shouldn't go on any more tangents. There are one other thing about salmon. There are some salmons that, I don't know what it's called, but what they did was they blocked off like the fjords. So the salmon are staying in the fjords, but they're still in the fjords, and then they fish, they raise them there, but they're still in the water. Those are fine because they never go in those farms. They just sort of like made a pond, sort of, but it's still open to the ocean. Anyway, back on to the topic. Oh, okay. I think I covered all of that. All right. Are you ready to start on probiotics? All right. There's basically 3 kinds of probiotics. Lactobacillus, upper intestines. Those are more for like women's issues, food digestion, men's issues. Bifido, think bottom bowel movement. Bifido, this colon support is higher in bifido. By the way, if you want something for moving or slowing down, this one's my favorite. People are saying, I'm going too slow, I'm going too fast. This one's great. It has a higher percentage of bifido. Great stuff. And then there's bacillus. Bacillus, this is a bacillus strain. I'm going to twist your brain. Bacillus is a gardener. It comes and it moves into your colon, and it cleans things up. Regular probiotics are like friends in the cleaning crew. They're transitory. They come in, you have a good time, everybody feels happy, they help you clean up before they leave, and they're gone. This one stays and helps remodel your gut. Like if I said I had a condo on the lakefront, it's on the 25th floor and it's facing Navy Pier. You can have it, but it's sight unseen. If you trusted me, you might take it, right? But what if you got it and it was trashed? You'd clean it up. So that's what this does. It literally wants you to host it. This is called Just Thrive Probiotic, but it's a bacillus strain. Bacillus, it's different because it sporylates itself. What it does is it creates a spore around itself that's really strong, and it stays protected until it senses a hospitable environment, and then it opens and it starts to clean things up. It literally starts to clean things up. And antioxidant, right? It makes antioxidants, which is one of the only probiotics we have that does that. It's fantastic. I do about 3 rounds a year. I'll take it for a month, and then, a few months later, I'll take it for a month. This is really good. It's sort of like calling a cleaning crew and saying, come on, fix things up. This is so strong. This is so strong that they've literally found bacillus strains on a meteor that has come in from space that's still alive. Now think about that for a minute. I'm going to twist your brain. Here's a little critter that's been sitting on that meteor for how long? Coming from where? In the vacuum of space, in the cold of space. It makes it through the heat of re-entry, and it's still alive. This is some tough stuff. This is like the Michael Jordan of probiotics, right? This is amazing. They also found it recently. They found it in a bee. Just Thrive. They found it in a bee fossil from 3,000 years ago, and they found a bacillus strain that was still alive. Yeah.
The first one.
Just Thrive. So it's a really, really good one. Just FYI, about 9 months ago now, my husband had a really bad turn. He just got really, really sick. To give him his own privacy, I'll just say it was really, really bad. I put him on both of these within 2 weeks. He was feeling much better. But I had him on both of these. So this one's 31 and this one's 40. So, but it's worth it. Well, this one, that's what I do, but I have a pretty healthy gut. So once your gut is healthy, I would rotate different kinds of probiotics. All right, shall we continue? So let's talk about reading the label of a probiotic container. So typically 25 to 50 billion is maintenance. We have one, okay, so I'm a trainer, so I have to physically try a lot of the stuff that we sell. Here, try this, see if it works. When I have to buy my probiotic and I'm not having an issue, this is the one I buy. This is the now 50 billion. It's got 10 probiotic strains. They're registered strains, so they're scientifically, clinically proven. And they're the 10 base strains, like they're the 10 strains that like a lot of the other strains rely on. So this is a really good one. If your gut is feeling healthy and you just want a really good probiotic, this is a really good one.
Is that the one on here now, probiotic 10 to 50 billion?
Yeah. And then they don't have a 10 billion, but here's a Baridophilus. If you have a kid or somebody who doesn't like to swallow pills, there's a 10 billion too, but they didn't have it right now. The Baridophilus. It tastes really good. My grandson used to call it can I have the purple one? He liked it. Prebiotics are the food or the nests for the probiotics. It feeds them, and it's sort of like good soil. Prebiotics are like good soil that you plant the probiotic. Postbiotics, prebiotics are like the soil. Probiotics are like the tree. Postbiotic is like the pear that comes off the tree. That's why this is so important. 500 postbiotics. Crazy. There's nothing else that we carry. I don't know if there's anything on the market that has that many. We kind of talked about this whole thing already. If formula survives the stomach environment 100% intact, provides you with unmatched digestion and immune support. Supplement is verified to help reduce bloating, gas, constipation, and diarrhea. That's what the box says. It features Bacillus strains HU36. It's the only one that has that. It does produce antioxidants in your system where your body can best absorb them and use them. It turns your gut into a natural antioxidant factory that can reduce inflammation and oxidative stress and support beneficial bacteria. The funny part about that is it helps the good bacteria grow, and its waste is what kills the bad bacteria. Well, I poop on you. I think it's hysterical. But we've been through this several times. So this is the Dr. O'Hara's excellent, excellent, excellent probiotic. And then some people, Brenda Watson just did a whole Channel 11 thing. Did you see it? Do you remember what it was called?
Yes.
It's on PBS.
Hope Formula Special.
Hope Formula Special. You might want to check it out. But anyway, she has diverse strains. She has 60 billion. There's 1 billion of each kind, but there's 60 different kinds. So this would give you a lot of diversity. This would be if you had a healthy gut. I wouldn't necessarily do this if you're having a very raw gut. But once you get your gut going, this would be planting a lot of different crops, right? So this would be really good. But that wouldn't be one of my first go-tos. Oh, wait, hold on. It has 7 prebiotic sources to feed different kinds of strains. Yeah. And I kind of already talked about that. See those numbers and letters after those names of those? That means they've been clinically verified, proven to do something specific. It's kind of like if you asked me, Sandhya, would you source me a German Shepherd? And I say, sure. And then you say, would you source me one that can be a seeing eye dog? Oh, that's much different, right? Then it's very, very narrow. For instance, lactose plantarum. Do you see it's the second one down on the right there? Lactose plantarum. One kind of lactose plantarum is really good for is really good for food intolerances, right? That's one of the things it does. Another strain of lactose plantarum is really good for men's parts. So which do you think they chose for the men's probiotic? The strain that's good for men's parts, but they're both called lactose plantarum, right? So, well, anyway, this would be the general one probably for food intolerances or to help with food. So these are the 10 base strains, but they are scientifically, clinically verified probiotics. And when you see those numbers and letters, those companies have to pay more money for that. You know, they do. Just telling you, getting back to, it's very important to have a good gut lining. One of the ways to do that is to take your digestive enzymes so you're not throwing rocks through the window. So you're breaking that food down to chyme, to liquid. Then, once you have a stable environment, then you can plant your probiotics.